Good morning, guys. It is day 42 of Flippin Live, Sunday morning, June 14th, 2020. I'm Andrew from 510 Books, and we are live here on Flippin Live. And today we're going to talk about 10 ways to monetize your duds if you are a bulk seller, or just monetize duds in general, book duds, that is. And let's get started.
Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin'
Hi, Brenda.
live.
Hi, Terry. Hi, Brian.
Flippin' live.
Good morning. How's your Sunday going? It's a bit of a chilly one here in Southern California. We are, it was a little warm yesterday, but not really hot. And today seems like it's going to be even cooler, which is always good considering that it can get pretty hot here. So that's always fun. I see we've got a few people here. Good morning. Glad you guys are showing up. I wasn't quite sure what to talk about today, and this idea popped into my head. And thanks to Insane Book Hustler, who has an Instagram account where he posts about his bulk book selling business, he listed 10 ways to get rid of duds. I've talked about a lot of these, but there are some different ones, and I thought it would be helpful for some people to put them all together in one stream, excuse me, and talk about them individually and see if they make sense for you guys who are watching this live, or thank you, or if in the future, cell phone reseller. So Brian killed it at the garage sales yesterday. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Good that some things are opening for you guys and you're able to go out there and actually source. So that's good to hear. So 10 ways. Feel free to chat or to comment, contribute in the chat. I don't want the video. I want you guys to contribute as well, not just me talking. So feel free to comment and add to it. 10 ways to monetize book duds. So like I said, I've gone through a lot of these before. Some of them are are on a smaller scale. Some of them are much grander and bigger. It's a variety basically. So these are in no particular order in terms of being realistic or priority. So I mean, I could probably list them in terms of the easiest way to go about it or the most likely way to go about it. But anyway, you can take any of these as options. First one is open a bookstore, which is just like the most grandiose one, the biggest, more complicated, more potentially expensive way to go about it. And this is more for this number one option is more for somebody that is really doing big bulk, either on a smaller scale like I've been doing, or on a larger scale where you have a warehouse and you're coming across so many quality books that could be sold in a bookstore for a couple bucks, but don't make any money online individually on Amazon or eBay. This is what I saw people doing a few years back, and what inspired me to do it for myself as well is you can monetize a high percentage of books that you buy in bulk, either in Gaylords or just making bulk buys or soliciting donations, or however you're going about getting your books. There's a lot of quality fiction books, classic books, nonfiction books that are in great condition that somebody would buy in a bookstore, buy in person, I might buy online, but you just can't. There's the prices have been driven so low that even merchant fulfilled doesn't make sense unless you're a massive reseller. So opening a bookstore is a very depends on how you go about it. I recommend that you do a warehouse first, and then if that works really well and you want to get into retail space, then you can do that because retail space is more expensive, but you do have, depending on where you are, you hopefully will have more visibility and people walking by without you having to advertise, that type of thing. But a warehouse sale is great because you can do it, once a month, twice a month, even once a week, if you want to do it that often, if you have that much new stock to put in there. But I recommend in a warehouse once a month to start, and just organize your books, fiction, kids books, um, chapter books for kids, different types of nonfiction, that type of stuff. But anyway, we could spend a whole stream talking about that, and we can go back over some of them too. But opening a bookstore is definitely an option. Um, yeah. So of course, sell on eBay and other platforms. There's eBay, there's Mercari, there's probably other places that I'm not too familiar with. This for me is the biggest one that it's easier for me to sell on eBay with CDs and with uh, DVDs. Books, you can do some individually, not that many. If you're buying in bulk, more makes more sense if they are collectible, rare in some way, have signatures, are vintage, that type of stuff. There are other things like teacher edition textbooks. You of course can do on eBay. I've sold a fair amount of those. Um, Random stuff that might just make more sense on eBay than on Amazon. Uh, so when you're going through books and you come across some that don't make sense on Amazon, you can always check some of them. Not necessarily all of them would make sense to look on eBay, because eBay, doesn't have as much data. It's not as quick to, excuse me, to look up a book. Whereas with Amazon, it's so much easier to do that because you just scan it into your app and you have all that information, all the data, um, and it's a lot quicker. So with eBay, you have to get better about figuring out which books are even worth looking up. Basically, I have to get a new lighting system here. Um, Let me turn this on. Yeah, so that's what I've done a lot of, as if you've been watching my videos and my streams, is 3 years ago I started, when I got more into bulk, finding a lot of stuff I couldn't sell on Amazon, but made sense on eBay. Started doing that, especially with things like DVDs and certain more not valuable but more rare CDs that might have high ranks on Amazon, and I would throw them up on eBay, and a lot of them would sell pretty quickly. And that continues to be the case. Certain books, certain CDs, certain DVDs that might, and other types of media, even VHS tapes as well. I have sold recently a few VHS tapes, like half a dozen or so, after listing, I don't know, 12 or 15 or something like that, 15 to 20, that are not selling, that are rarely selling on Amazon, or very infrequently. So you never know when it comes to that stuff. But I would, if you're in bulk, I would recommend definitely selling on eBay. Number three is find a recycler. So this again is probably going to be for someone who has a lot of excess books. And this used to be a more viable option a few years ago, where almost every paper recycler would be willing to take your bulk books, and they would pay you for them. And now a lot of places will not accept the books, or you have to pay them for them to take the books off your hands. And so, if you have a lot of Gaylords of books or a lot of bulk, then they will pick them up from you. But you could also bring them, which I did in the past. Of course, I don't know, I don't believe that you can. A lot of I don't believe a lot of recyclers are accepting books now, or you have to pay them essentially to deal with them. But you used to be able to just drive up there if you had the Gaylords in the back of your truck, and they would just take them off and pay you for those. So I don't know how viable this is anymore. It might change, going forward, things might change. But for now, it's not. It's a potential option, but it's not necessarily the best one. Buyback sites, these are big for, you can be a small bulk seller or a bigger one, and you can utilize a lot of these buyback sites. Like I said earlier, I'm trying out a new one called Piggy Book through Discover Books. I've got up to $13 worth of books in there now. I'm going to see if I can get together more to send off with them. What I find is a lot of so you can also do it like directly through, for instance, Scoutly, which used to be FBA Scan. Scoutly app has, they show you on the app as you're scanning buyback sites and how much they're paying. So they'll show it in green or whatever. They're paying 50 cents, they're paying $1, they're paying $2, whatever. And then you have to. For me, I don't like it because then you have to go and create accounts for all of them and log in and deal with all of them separately. It doesn't make sense for me to do that. I don't understand why people spread it out amongst all these. Anyway, amongst all these sites, and then the hassle of having to focus on so many or do so many different sites. But anyway, so that's what a lot of people do. I'm trying out this new one. We'll see how that goes. They pay for the shipping. They will send you a label once you weigh the box and everything. But I used to do it with Declutter for CDs and DVDs, and stopped doing that a few years ago. That used to be a big way for me to make money off of a lot of the duds. The thing about it, I find though, with at least the one that I'm using, the Piggy Book one, is they will not accept a lot of books. So there's a lot of books, especially if they're super popular. They're like a Dan Brown book or a lot of these popular fiction books, or even a lot of nonfiction books, they just won't accept. They don't want to buy from you. So those, you're left with those, and then you have to decide, do you try to sell them somehow in a book sale or in locally, maybe, that type of thing. Otherwise, you just, put them together in a lot on eBay if they make sense. Otherwise, you're going to have to recycle them or give them away or donate them, because it's going to be tough. But I do know that I've seen, a few videos and Instagram posts and whatnot from people that use buyback sites and are able to make a good amount of money. There's some where I think there's one called Sell Your Books Back or something like that, where they will pick up Gaylords of books that have been scanned. That's a way where you can. I guess it depends on where you live, of course, but I know that was happening in California with that company. But if you live in another state, then I assume you can't do that. But there's different ways to go about it. You just have to figure out which one makes more sense for you. But you can make a little bit of extra money. And if you're going through a lot of books, you have a wide variety of books, you can potentially make some decent extra money with the buyback sites. So that's another way as well. It's just basically you do that instead of opening a bookstore, having a book sale. If you have the space, that's just a way to send it off to them, and then they're going to turn around and sell it for more money. Otherwise, why would they give you any money for it? So it's just a different way to go about it. So collect sets, organize and collect book sets. So this could be a series or anything like that. And this, of course, would be selling them. You would sell them either on eBay, or you could sell them on Amazon as well, if it makes sense on Amazon. On eBay, it's a really good place for them. I guess Mercari is another one. Also, you can sell these sets locally through various, local apps, or Facebook or Craigslist or whatever, whichever makes more sense for you in your area. But the sets are great for books. I just sold a, what was it? Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, plus a couple other books from Tolkien thrown in there. I think there's 6 of them. There's 6 books in total. Also had The Hobbit in there. And these are all from, the Hobbit book and the other trilogy books, 3 trilogy books. Lord Lord of the Rings trilogy are all from the 70s. They're small paperbacks from the 70s, like 1973, I think. And so those are very collectible. People buy them, they pay up for those, especially if you have them all together, which I did. That was from a donation, and put all of them together. And I sold it for, I had it listed for $50 plus shipping. I took an offer of 42. This is just yesterday, plus shipping. So that's a great sale. It was like $46. So that's an example of a book set that you can collect or get together if you have the full set. And then, I'd put them on eBay. I haven't tested selling locally with that, but it might work as well. So I've done the same thing with CDs, where I'm still collecting some that don't have the complete series or enough of the set together for me to want to sell it on eBay. Um, and I did that with a Pottery Barn set of. It's not like, I don't know how many actually there are that exist that they've made Pottery Barn CDs, but I got 24 of them together, which was more than anyone had or currently listed or had sold in the last 3 months, and it sold for $80 plus shipping. So it's worth your time and organization and effort to collect these sets and these series, whether they're books or other types of media, and get those together and then list them on eBay, which would be my recommendation. Oh, wait, hold on here. Terry says, what would be the pros or cons of switching one's book business totally to eBay in order to avoid Amazon's continual series of glitches and obstructions? So, the pros would be not having to deal with all the nonsense with Amazon. Let's see, what would be another pro? You don't have to pay as high a fees, especially compared to FBA. Those are the two that come to mind right now. The cons would, of course, be not using FBA, which means that you have to do all the work. So you have to actually photograph the books. You have to list them, even with a template. It takes less time, but you still have to list them, pull all the information. There's not a set listing. And then you have to store it, just like merchant fulfilled. So you have to have the space to store it. And then when it sells, you have to ship it. So you have to have a padded envelope or whatever you ship it in. You've got to have plenty of printer paper. You got to have plenty of printer ink. You got to have tape to tape it up. And then you got to take it to the post office every day as you get sales. So all that stuff, the same as like FBA versus merchant fulfilled. I haven't had too many issues with eBay, so it's pretty smooth with eBay in regards to selling on there. In my experience, doing it the last 3 years, and also, another pro is not having to deal with Amazon's nonsense. Less small. What do you call it? Wow, fees are less compared to FBA, and it's better dealing with customers. In my experience, is much better because it's eBay's kind of your business, even though you're using the eBay domain and eBay services, and you pay for that with the fees. And if you have a store, they're essentially your customers, so to speak, right? That you deal with them, and it's your brand that you have out there that you're promoting for your store. Not that it has to be anything fancy or whatever, but when you have an issue with a customer, they usually contact you. You can message or email back and forth, and I found in general, most people, you can work with them. You can refund them, partial refund, total refund if there's any issues. So versus Amazon, where people don't even talk to you, and if they message you, they don't even respond, or they don't listen to your response, or don't see your response. That's another pro. But again, the other con is that a lot of books will sell. A lot of books, certain books, but a lot of them will sell for more money on Amazon than they will on eBay, and they won't even make sense on eBay. Where you could sell a book for $15 on Amazon and make your $5 or $6 or whatever profit, and on eBay it's selling for $5 or $6, and you're not going to make any money, and you can't even sell that book. So, those are some of the differences. That's why I feel that it's good to continue to deal with Amazon's silliness, but then also Start getting comfortable with eBay. Start putting books that make more sense to sell on eBay. I mean, there's people, well, men and women, but there's people on that I've seen on the Facebook groups, book reselling Facebook groups, who have gone very big into eBay for books that make sense on eBay, and are making, the money they're making on eBay is either close to, equal to, or sometimes even more than what they're making on Amazon through FBA. So, but they've gone big. They have hundreds of books, 500, 600 books on eBay, and are selling a lot continually, and continue to list on there. So it can become significant. And I've seen, just by listing so much on eBay, that it can become a nice income. Body, body, body. Okay, cool. I guess yeah. So they're talking about, Hitchhiker's Guide. Cool. Sold that. So yeah. So I mean, my recommendation, and that's the thing, like sets, right? You can sell book sets and other types of sets, but let's say book sets on Amazon, they have the complete set and it matches the listing. People do that all the time. And if it goes for more money, why not sell it on Amazon? I mean, that's the thing, right? With FBA, for instance, you can do merchant fulfilled, but with FBA, let's talk about FBA. You can sell your book set on there for potentially more money. But consider the fees. Excuse me. After all the fees and whatnot, are you going to make more money on Amazon? And a lot of times you will. Then you have the added benefit of shipping it in and not having to deal with it anymore. However, here's another benefit to eBay is which is why when people come from eBay and try out Amazon, try out FBA, they're always freaked out by it, is, once you ship that item away, that book set away, it's out of your hands. And if anything happens to it, there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas if you have it sitting on your shelf in your house, in your garage, whatever, and it sells, well, it's in great condition. Of course, once you ship it media mail or however you're going to ship it through eBay, then it's out of your hands and things do happen. But, that's beyond your control. That's going to happen because it has to be shipped at some point. But at least while you're storing it, there's nothing wrong with it. Whereas Amazon gets possession of it. And we know how many times things get lost or damaged in the Amazon warehouses. So it's another pro for eBay and also for merchant fulfilled too. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a big proponent of trying to collect book sets or any other type of media sets that go for good money when you have the complete set. So for instance, for books, it could be like the Lord of the Rings, right? The older, well, I'm sure there's other versions as well, but the whole set. C.S. Lewis, I found it's called a Space Trilogy book set. It's actually in the original sleeve. It's all three, the paperback books, the small paperback books, which are in good condition. I think I was the only one on eBay that actually had, well, all three books with the sleeve together. People had all three books. People were selling the books individually. These are like from the 70s, I think, or 60s or 70s, these books. So I'm sure at some point I will sell that. It probably won't take too long. I think I have it listed for like $30 plus shipping. So if you have a complete set already, if you find it, if you get it in your bulk buys or in your book buying, I mean, clearly you're going to sell it right on Amazon or on eBay. But if you don't have the complete set and then you want to keep trying to collect it, sometimes even if you're missing like one book, maybe you could buy that one book on eBay and then get the complete set. Buy the one book for however much, I don't know, and then sell the whole set for more money. But it's good to collect those. Let's see. Huge quarterly book sale. So this is slightly different than a bookstore. A bookstore, like my warehouse sale, is a monthly sale. I mean, at least it was before quarantine, and hopefully now it'll get back to being monthly, because I'm having my sale this upcoming Friday and Saturday, and I have a warehouse space. I'm using more and more. I'm using more than half of the space for the sale, and I might start using even more of the space for it, depending on how it continues to go, and if I'm able to grow it a lot more, because I definitely want to put out a lot more books and be more um, what do you call it? I want more book people to show up and tell other book people to come. So I need to be able to have more books out there for people to select from to buy. So you can do that. You can do. I mean, the warehouse sale is one thing. I mean, the having a scheduled monthly sale. Another one is just doing a big book sale where if you again you have to have the space for this. So people, the guy I met who bought the pallets from me and the Gaylords, he has everything in his house and he does like a weekly sale, which is crazy. I guess he goes through a lot of books, but he just has them randomly unorganized on shelves, like in his garage, in his driveway, and he puts on the sale. And he says that a lot of people show up. They're like lining up outside, I guess because he's done it consistently and the word spreads. And he sells them for really inexpensive. I don't know how much he's selling the books for, but he's just trying to do volume, and he's making, I don't know how much, but he said he's doing pretty well with that and getting rid of a lot of book duds. And that's out of his house. So there's different ways to set it up, right? Depends on your space, depends on where you live, what kind of space you have access to or you're willing to pay for. Again, if you already have warehouse space, then it makes sense to do that. If you don't and you're not planning on getting any warehouse space, then you can always do it from your house as like a garage sale, but expect that people aren't going to pay much for it. So you should do it at a higher volume. You maybe do like $1 a book, and people can buy a bunch at a time. 20, 30 books at a time would be nothing for a reader to just do that. You could do a quarterly sale. You could do every 2 months, once a month, depends on how often you want to put it together, because it is work to put it together. But it's a way. It's definitely, and if you advertise it, if you're like, oh, we've got 2,000 books, for kids, adults, fiction, nonfiction, all different types of books, $1 to $2, all the books, or something like that, and advertise online or however you want to go about it. And you could probably get a lot of people to show up and are willing to spend a lot of money. It's very similar. It's very similar to a library book sale, right? Books are generally very inexpensive, and they get lots of people to show up, and they sell a lot of books. So it's a similar way to go about it as well. Used bookstores. So I know a lot of people do this as well, where they take their book duds to a local used bookstore and either get cash or credit. So cash, of course, is great. Even if you're getting 25 cents a book and you bring in 100 books, I mean $25, right? So it's going to depend on the bookstore. Near where I live, there's not very many bookstores that would give cash. Not any that I know of that are nearby. But I know of one that at least would give you store credit. But if you get store credit, then it's got to make sense for you if you're going to turn around and try to buy books there to resell. So cash is king. Cash makes sense. But if you can get credit, and if this kind of store has books that you can actually turn around and resell online, then it could be worth it. Yeah, so that's another way to go about it. I know a lot of people will go and sometimes there's big bookstores where they will get a lot of credit and they can just go right into the store and just start buying books to resell, and that can make sense. Well, Facebook Marketplace is similar to sell on eBay and other platforms, but specifically Facebook Marketplace I think is really good. Can do really well with books on there. I know there are people that do focus on certain niches, like you could focus on kids books and put them together by reading level, for instance. So you could do all, and I've sold some on Facebook Marketplace. I've tried it out with kids books, and I have sold a few, and even some fiction books as well by author. So again, it's similar to eBay, where you've got to put a bunch up, put a few dozen postings up, and you can meet the person. I mean, if you have a location like Excuse me. If you have an office or a warehouse, you could just meet them there. But if you don't, like I was working out of a storage unit last year, and I would just meet people across the street at the Starbucks parking lot, uh, and just give them the books, take the money, and be done with it. And you can do like kid board books. So these would be those thicker books for young kids that are 1, 2 years old, and you read to them at night or whatever. And these are the thick books that they'll, if they're really like they're 1 years old or something, they'll chew on or they can't really destroy. I've sold those before. You can do kids picture books. So either hardcover, softcover books. Do it by series. So a bunch of little critter books, a bunch of I'm blanking right now, a bunch of Clifford books, whatever it is. Get a series together and do that. The more you get together, the better. 15, 20 books. You can do it by reading level. So you can do readers. They have different levels. They have all the way like 1 to 5 or so. Put all the 2s together, the 3s together, a bunch of them together, and you can do that. You can do it by series for chapter books. Do like, oh man, what am I? Well, of course, Harry Potter sells for great money. You're probably better off selling those on eBay, and even some of them on Amazon. But anyway, you can do it by series. You could do vintage, but you could do like collectible books locally and become known as the person who has cool collectible books. You could do it also like those Reader's Digest condensed books, put them together as decorative pieces like I sold on eBay. You can probably do that locally as well, or vintage books, whatever. Kind of play around with it and see what makes sense for you. Like I said, I also sold, I can't remember the author, but I sold like Dan Brown or James Patterson or somebody, a bunch of them together, like 10 of them, a dozen of them, and met somebody that paid me for them through Facebook Marketplace. So that's another great way to try to monetize duds. Here's a unique one that I didn't think about. Create Instagram account for vintage books. And this could be for, it doesn't have to be just for vintage books, but vintage books are, well, I can't even see me here, are definitely a unique way to set up. So you can set up an Instagram account. It's free. Call it, I don't know, call it whatever you want to call it. Vintage books for you, or Frank's vintage books, or whatever, or Mary's friend vintage books, and then start building that up and just post and just say, you can ship. You could do. I know people do that of all different types of stuff. I've seen people who sell records through their Instagram account. And again, this is something. These are things that take more time, right? Facebook Marketplace is pretty simple. You could take a couple photos of your book lot, throw it up on Marketplace, and within a few hours, a day or two, a week, you could sell it, and really quickly, right? Creating an Instagram account, I don't know how long it would take to build that up, but that could be a way to supplement it, right? You could be selling on Facebook Marketplace, but then also have the Instagram account and say, here I live in this area, we can do local pickup. If not, I can ship, and these are my rates or whatever. So it just depends on how deep you want to go with it. If you go big with this, you could potentially build up a big following on Instagram, but that will take months, if not a year or however long. I don't know. I haven't experimented with that. But it's an option, a long-term option, I think. But it's a way to build that up, and you can build repeat customers. And it's your own. They're your own customers. It's your own account. It's not Amazon. It's not eBay. It's your own thing, right? So it's your own deal. And I know, there are, like I said, I've seen people selling all different types of random stuff, but records comes to mind. I saw someone who would sell records, and they would post it. Oh, we've got such and such record from whoever, and they're like $50, and then people post and say, "Oh, I want it," and then he posts sold. He would post sold at the top of the listing once it's sold, and then he would be sent the money through PayPal, Venmo, whatever it is, and then would ship it out to the person. So there's that's a way to go about it if you want to get creative, if you want to spend the time to build that up. There's plenty of people that do that through Instagram. But again, that's a long-term play. That's not like a quick little sell to buyback sites, go to Facebook Marketplace, which is really quick. eBay is quick. These are quick ways to do it. But that's like building your own little eBay on Instagram. Number 10 is find. Here, I'll put down here. Find vintage collector or seller. So this would be just for vintage books. I've seen a couple of different bulk sellers do this, where as they go through Gaylords, they put all the vintage stuff in another Gaylord, or they put them separately in boxes, and then they'll have a vintage seller or collector come by and go through them and buy certain ones off of them. Or they could just sell them as a whole Gaylord, or say, hey, we have 1,000 vintage or old vintage books. We're looking for somebody to buy them off of us. You could advertise on Facebook Marketplace or anywhere else, and what do you call it? And find somebody. But again, that's something that would take some time. And you'd have to work on that to build that up. Let me take these off the screen. So please let me know if you guys have other ideas for monetizing book duds, because I know this becomes essentially guys. So ask questions, contribute in the chat if you want, because those are the 10 that I wanted to go over. Definitely, I see this question a lot in the Facebook groups for reselling books. Is people say, "Oh, well, I'm buying my first 10 Gaylords, or over here, and I don't know what to do with the duds." Well, before you jump into something like that, I recommend having a plan for duds already and really go with it, right? If you're going to have a book sale, quarterly book sale, then go for it. If you're going to use buyback sites, then go for it big time. If you're going to go try to sell as many on eBay as possible, then go for it big time. If you're going to, what are some of these other ones? If you're going to just have books recycled, you need to find somebody who's going to come and recycle the books. Or that you can, someone come pick up the books for a recycler, pick up the books, or you need to, take them there yourself. But whatever it is, if you're going to go bulk books, you should really have that planned out ahead of time and go with it big time. That's what I would say. Yeah. Sell them to 5-10 books for maximum profits. Well, that's an option. If you have some quality books, let me know. What are some ways that you guys have found profitable or your best ways of getting rid of extra books that you can't sell individually on Amazon or eBay or anywhere else? What are the most profitable ways that you found to deal with that? The quickest ways for me are buyback sites, are eBay, and would be locally through Facebook Marketplace and other local apps. But like I said, if you're going to do Facebook Marketplace, go big, right? List as many as you can, because you need to figure out, just like eBay and Amazon, to be honest, you need to figure out what works and what doesn't work, what sells, what doesn't sell. Oh, I listed, a dozen fiction lots, hardcover fiction lots by author or by series, and I found out after a couple weeks of having those go live, I listed 15 of them, let's say. Only a couple sold, so it's not going that well. So maybe I'll get away from that. I'll try out kids' books. Oh, look, I sold half of those within a week. Well, then maybe kids' books makes more sense. So, or you try that on OfferUp. Go big on OfferUp. List a bunch of them. List a dozen or 15 or 20 and see what happens. See if you're able to sell them. I see people on there when I look for stuff to buy in bulk. where they have a lot of listings and they're clearly going big on that marketplace and seeing if it'll make sense for them. So you don't know if it's going to work until you really try, right? Until you really go big. um, I'm still trying to go bigger on eBay because I feel that the more I list on there, the more I'm able to sell, and the more that I learn, just like with Amazon, about what I should be focusing on and what makes more sense. So you've got to, and it's okay to try a couple, right? Like try Facebook Marketplace and compare it to OfferUp. Put the same listings on both and see what happens, right? Spend some time, take the photos, and you can do it just from your phone, right? Take the photos and then spend an hour listing on Facebook Marketplace, and then spend the next hour listing the same things on OfferUp, and see what happens. See which one works better, which one has better response, because you don't know, right? You just don't know until you try, and it's trial and error, just like anything with this business, trial and error, and it's having the patience. Two big things, right? When it comes, I mean, this is general in life, but for this business and for just about any business, I would say hard work and patience, right? If you work hard, continue to work hard at it, continue to work hard. If you only work a month at it and you give up, well, you got to have some longevity. I'm not saying you have to spend 10 years, but if you work hard for 6 months at it, at listing on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, and then you see what happens, and it's like, well, I've listed several hundred items and I've sold like 40 of them. That's pretty good, right? I'm pulling the rest of those and focusing on the ones that sold. It was kids books. It was fiction books by author. It was book sets, book series. This one did really well, so whenever I find this series, I definitely want to put it up there. And I even know of a woman who I saw on Facebook, one of the Facebook groups, who, well, I don't know her, but I know of her, that she started selling on Facebook Marketplace so much that she started a private, I guess it would be a group, Facebook group of, because she built up clientele, repeat customers. So she would post, and this is the woman who was doing all the kids books, right? So she would do lots and lots of kids books on a Facebook Marketplace, and she ended up having repeat customers. You bought from me last week, and then she invited them through Facebook. She said, I started this private group for all of you guys who are buying a lot of kids books from me. And then as that, I don't know how many people she had in this group, but even if it's only like 25 people, but if they're buying all the time, you post there. You can still continue to post to the general public, but you can say, hey guys, I'm throwing this up, and I'll go to you guys first if you want it, and then throw it up on Facebook Marketplace. And guess what? You're building your own business, your own clientele, your own private clientele that no one else has, that no one else can take away from you. And it becomes a steady income. So I know I've seen that person post several times saying she can't keep books in stock. And it's probably partly because she has built up this clientele, this customer base. It's almost like having an email list of selling to people online, but it's local, right? And they know you, they meet you in person, they know who you are, they get to know you, you build a personal relationship with them, and there's nothing better, which is what I'm trying to do with my local sale, monthly sale, is I get repeat customers, I know their names, I say, hey John, hey Maria, hey whoever, right? Just making up names here, but how's it going, right? And people, they like that. They like the comfort of coming back to the same place, knowing that you know their name, knowing that you know what kind of stuff they like, right? Like if they come and they buy classic rock CDs, you say, I got a couple of Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or Dylan or whatever. I know you like the science fiction books. I put a couple dozen out. Go check those out. So, you build loyalty, you build customers, you build a steady, what do you call it? Consistent income with that kind of people. So those kind of people. Okay. So are there any other ways you guys can think of right now to monetize duds, or that you've monetized duds? Let me know in the chat. you can utilize this for a lot of things. So, uh, it's not just books. It's CDs you can do this with. It's DVDs. Uh, I mean, what I'm essentially working towards is becoming not just the book guy, but the media guy locally, um, so that people know that they can bring their stuff to me to donate, or they can bring their stuff to me to potentially do a trade in, uh, um, and they can come to me to look for, uh, you know, books, records, CDs, DVDs, all of that. I mean, I've got over 1,000 DVDs in this next sale, and I've got a whole wall of them. So I can imagine if you're really into DVDs and you walk into my sale for the first time and you see all these DVDs and they're organized uh, by by several genres as well as alphabetically, that you would say, oh wow, this guy's got a lot to choose from. Um, I like DVDs, so I'll probably come back. That kind of thing, and hopefully I'll get to know the person. So anyway, that's I think the value in. There's nothing wrong with just selling on Amazon, but if you want to get into more, if you want to try to build it outside of that sort of ecosystem and create your own thing, that's what I see a lot of people doing on smaller scales, whether it's a book sale, whether it's Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, whatever it is. I mean, also another thing I've seen some people do who they either have a store or they're just selling out of their home. But I've seen this as well, and I've thought about trying it, but I have not done it yet, and I don't know if I ever will, but I like the idea. You just have to work out the logistics. Is that I've seen people use their Facebook page. So they have their public Facebook page for either their store like I do, or they just open one up to say, I sell books, I sell whatever you are focusing on. And they do live auctions through their Facebook page with Facebook Live. So they will, set up their little station either in their office, in their warehouse, in their store, or even in their home, and then they will set up like a bunch of books behind them on shelves or however they do it. And then they will start going through the different books, and they'll either sell books individually. I've seen people do this with comic books. It's a comic book store here in Southern California, and I've randomly seen their live feed or live show, I guess. And I think they do it weekly. And they'll sell individual comic books, and these guys know a lot about comic books. So like I know nothing about that, but I could do that with I don't know, CDs, or I don't know if people would buy CDs through that. But I've seen other people do it with books in general, and they would have, people would be buying books for $4, $5, $6 as a used retail store prices, and they're buying them because they want the books. The books are in good condition, and these people follow them, right? So they would say, okay, we have a bunch of kids chapter books coming up. Here's 3 of them together for $5, right? And then some people would just sit there and they would wait until somebody would bid on it, or it's not an auction in the sense of like starting at 99 cents. It's just that you say, $5 for these 3 books, and the first person to say, to buy it, to say they want it, gets it. And then they would, the logistics, I don't know, but they would mail it to them, or sometimes people would pick them up if they were local. But most people they would mail to, and they would be sent the money. And they'd have a time frame. You have to pay it by Friday or whatever. So that's another way too, and that's a way to build up your own business, your own customer, your own customer base. Okay, so Pat says, CD duds. I'm doing more and more disc only on eBay. It's a grind to list, but they take up very little space and sell consistently. How many? That's great. I've done a lot of loose discs on eBay as well. So Pat, are you doing? How many do you have, like an average amount that you list? So you do like 100 at a time, 300 at a time, 500 at a time, whatever. Do you stick to that? Is it auctions? Do you do buy it now? Are you doing it by genre? Are you mixing the genres in? I'd be curious to know. Because what I've found is I usually, okay, so I've done it two ways where I've done big lots of several hundred. I've gone to as many as like 700, but I try to stay like 300 or so if I get a big enough loose CDs together. Excuse me. And I will, wow. Ugh. And I will do an auction and I'll get a lot of bids on those usually. It varies, you know. Sometimes I'll make $30, sometimes I'll make $70, but it's a good amount of money for loose CDs that I wasn't going to make any money on any other way, and it's great. And also the great thing about it is that it doesn't take up much space, like Pat said, and when you ship them, it weighs less because it doesn't have the jewel case and takes up less space. So all around, it's a good proposition. I've also sold by genre though, so I've done like, what have I done? Loose country CD discs, loose rap CD discs, loose classic rock, you know, whatever, all different types. And some do better than others, and it depends on whether I want to spend the time to find the different genres. Sometimes I don't know what the genres are, so I just don't bother. I just throw them together, and those do pretty well also. But that's a great way to deal with that. With DVDs, I was doing a lot of the wholesale. Man. Listing in the wholesale section of eBay, and I would do like 90, anywhere between like 90 to 100, and as many as like 140, as many as I could fit in a big box basically, but around 100, a little less than 100, a little more than 100. And I would list those in a 7-day auction starting at 99 cents. And these are very popular, well-known titles that I find multiple copies of. Hey, Papa, come here. I don't know. Come here, say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. And they would vary, right, as to how much they get. A lot of bidding, clearly, resellers are buying these, but I assume sometimes not. But anyway, they get a lot of action on there, and they would sell anywhere between $20 to as much as like $40. So I was very happy with those because these are DVDs that I couldn't put in my local sale because I can't have 10 copies of Independence Day or Juno or Pirates of the Caribbean. No one's going to buy them. So I'll have my one copy, if I even have a copy of some of those at all, but I'll have one copy, and it may or may not sell in my local sale, but at least I have a copy of it, and the rest of them I'll just throw into lots. So these are all good ways to buy it now. Pat says buy it now. Oops. Small lots, 10 or less. Oh, wow, 10 or less. We have a shipping method in Canada that you can ship thin things for super cheap. Wow, 10 or less loose discs, and people are buying them, huh? That's cool. Are you selling it for like $10 a pop or something? I've never done. I have done that few when it's a certain genre, and there are certain genres that do well. Like country does well, rap does well. If you have something like heavy metal or punk, or of course classic rock does really well. Maybe like oldies, so like a bunch of like oldies from the 60s or something like that. It just depends on what you have. A lot of these CDs I'll be able to sell with the jewel case and everything, but some of them when you buy in bulk, it just doesn't make sense any other way than to do it that way. Okay, guys, so thank you for watching. This has been Flippin' Live Day 42. Talked about 10 ways to monetize book duds, as you can tell here. And I appreciate you guys watching. So let's get out of here.
Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn and gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live.
Okay, guys, I appreciate every single person that shows up to the stream. I know there's a lot of things you could be doing. You could be in bed, you could be working, you could be hanging out, going sourcing, whatever. And I appreciate you guys showing up and participating and listening. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I put out a new video a couple days ago. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm working on a new video right now that I've already shot. I'm almost done editing it, so it should go up soon. And check that one out. I'm going to be shooting more videos, pre-edited videos, going forward as I go through a lot of new things with my business, such as reopening my local sale. So I'll probably make a video about that. Buying in a couple weeks, 2 weeks, a huge quantity of books from a storage unit that will be a blind buy, and I have no idea what's in those books. So, and just my day-to-day stuff as I, go forward with my business, and the potential of taking over an actual retail location bookstore. So anyway, there's a lot more topics I'll be shooting videos about. So make sure and check those out as well. And we will continue. I will continue with Flippin' Live while a lot of us are still quarantined, or a lot of businesses are still closed down. Here in California, things have opened a lot, but a lot noticeably. So if generally speaking, a lot, things reopen, then anyway, the show might go down to once a week or twice a week. But for now, we're still going to continue live every morning. And tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday, so I'll have a show tomorrow at 7 a.m. We always go live 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific time. So appreciate you guys watching. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got a haircut yesterday. So my hair was extremely long. This is my first haircut in 3+ months, the longest that I've gone for years and years. So I feel liberated. You can see my ears. And anyway, side note, but thank you guys for watching, and have a great Sunday, relaxing Sunday, or if you're going to be working, have a productive Sunday, listing, sourcing, whatever it may be. And as I always say, keep booking, but also stay safe, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.